Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here, or indeed anywhere. No, it's Christmas. This is going to be a very, very jolly show.
I hope it's a jolly show. The thing is, I'm a bit uncomfortable because normally I have a wetsuit on.
You might have by the end of the show.
Welcome to Have I Got News For You? I'm Stephen Mangan. In the news this week, on a visit to an airbase, Keir Starmer asks a group of soldiers about the unusual military gesture people keep making when they see him. At a school reunion in Lewisham, one woman is about to launch into a story about how she won her Nobel Peace Prize until she spots the videographer behind her. At a wedding reception in Amsterdam, it looks like they may not be hearing a speech from the best man.
Hang on.
After failing to secure the rights to show the traditional Boxing Day horse racing, BBC Sport is delighted to get the rights to the next best thing. And at another spectacular photo op, Ed Davey demonstrates how well a Lib Dem government would hit all its targets. On Ian's team tonight, a comedian who is also part of a Jane Austen-themed improv group. I love Jane Austen, Pride and Prejudice and, you know, all the other ones. Please welcome Rachel Parris. On Paul's team tonight, the leader of the Liberal Democrat Party, who is really looking forward to this evening's contest, as whatever happens, for once, he won't come third. Please welcome Ed Davey, MP. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Paul and Ed, here's yours.
OK, Keir Starmer refusing to wear a chef's hat. He's doling out something there. That's how much economic growth you're going to get next year.
Something for your CV.
Yeah.
Yes.
And making a...
There's a mug. I'm the Prime Minister.
Is this about the civil service, the government and the civil service? Is that in there somewhere?
Yeah, that is exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
What are they doing to the civil service?
Well, they're finding that the civil service isn't as cooperative as they might hope for. What would be your opinion on this, Sir Ed Davey?
Well,
I'm glad you said that, because I think the other thing is... No, go on.
I'm always very careful about talking about civil service because half of them are Liberal Democrat Party members.
Oh, right.
Though you did blame your civil servants,
No,
didn't
no,
you?
you see...
Over the post office, I think you did.
When for... Well...
I mean, I hate to bring it up this early, but
We didn't last long, did we?
You worked out they were lying to everybody earlier than most.
But you didn't.
No, I didn't, no. And I'm really sorry I didn't, and that's why the inquiry is so important.
Yeah, no, I did ask Alan whether I should give you a hard time. Guess what he said? No, he didn't, because he's quite nice. But I asked Lee Castleton, and he said, yeah. It wasn't your finest hour, was it?
Well, I think it wasn't the whole government's finest hour, and that's why the inquiry is so important. And we also need to make sure that compensation is paid.
It's still a scandal, and we started this year with, you know, an ITV drama, and everyone thought, that's great, it's on the telly. That'll be sorted out. And then, of course, it hasn't been.
Are you saying that ITV dramas aren't solving this? Because that's not a world I want to live in.
No.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find Inspector Morse had a very successful hit rate. Solved a lot of things.
Phew.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Anyway, we've got that out the way. I mean, they just got to get on with it. And I think various leaders of other political parties who've got a bit of a record on this should devote themselves to it.
So is that the answer to the first question?
Now, this is Keir Starmer, isn't it?
Keir Starmer, yeah,
Yeah.
and the civil service.
And the civil service.
Well, in a speech this week, Starmer said too many people in Whitehall are comfortable in the tepid bath of managed decline.
Oh, and now I've got pictures in my mind that I don't want to have.
What have some people been saying Keir Starmer sounds like?
Oh, Trump.
Trump is the right answer, yeah.
no.
Yes.
In what way?
Well, civil
Well, he said they're a bunch of pussies and he was going to grab them.
Well,
No, I don't think that's right.
Well, here's what he actually said about shaking it up in Whitehall.
Yeah.
We're going to go for it. We're going to do this. It will be an incredible thing.
yes,
It's a bit Trumpy.
it is. Yeah, it is.
Trumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What has Labour only just realised?
It's in power.
They need some policies.
Right. Well, yeah, basically how difficult it is to effect change in government. According to The Guardian, it has become a common refrain from Labour politicians and advisers that Jacob Rees-Mogg had a point on something.
No.
No.
What renowned hard man is Keir bringing in to sort things out?
Oh, this is Assad.
He is looking for a job, isn't
Yeah. He hasn't gone, it's just a sideways move.
Moving, yeah.
he? It's actually Roy Keane. Not really, no. It's a Labour MP and the man the Times describe as Keir's enforcer. It's big, bad Pat McFadden. Ooh. Here he is. I mean, he's less bulldog, he's more like a nervous greyhound, isn't he? Who is Pat the Animal McFadden and what is he going to do?
He's the Duchy of Lancaster, isn't he? He's in charge of that cabinet office, and he's actually number 3 in the government. He's really quite powerful.
The title is confusing, so you think, oh, Duchy of Lancaster is in charge of biscuits or something, but he isn't. He's a very, very important person.
What does the Duchy of Lancaster do, then?
He does the things that the Duke of Lancaster should do.
Is it honey, chutney, dessert?
Sticking with Labour enforcers, what is Rachel Reeves threatening to do?
She wants efficiency.
Cuts.
Not cuts.
Cuts, yeah, cuts.
No, efficiency savings, please.
Efficiency savings. Why are you doing a cut?
That's slash. Slash. She wants to slash government department budgets by 5%.
Well, that's the same as cut, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah. Do you want to fight about it?
Yeah, I do.
She's vowed to take an iron fist against waste. How's she going to do all that?
Like all chancellors, you say, we're going to cut government inefficiency. All of them do it when they come into power. And then they find that there isn't that much inefficiency, and so they have to make real cuts, which means services and what people voted them in for.
She's already punched up the pensioners.
Yep.
And then the farmers.
Yep.
So watch out.
Right. She's coming after the actors next.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently she's going to spend more money on external experts.
Yeah, these are consultants. The Labour Party said, we're not just going to get consultants in like the Tories to take all the decisions. And then they thought, yeah, let's get them in. You wouldn't do that, would you?
No, definitely not.
No, you wouldn't get any consultants in.
No, get rid of them.
Right.
I'm just saying, when he takes power, remember.
We haven't got that long a memory.
But what happens is all these experts come in from banks to say, is the government running efficiently? And then no one turns around to them and say, oh, yes, you ran the banks. You did well during the financial crisis, didn't you? The entire globe went bust. Why are they experts?
I don't know.
But then you'd have to get experts to look at the bankers and then experts to look at those experts, and before you know where you are, it's me and you.
That's a nightmare thought.
This week, it was revealed the government department spends £1,200 on 2 folders.
That's a very, very rude
Show us
way.
the folders.
Here is one of Labour's expensive leathery document holders. And here's the one that cost £600 being held by Lisa Nandy. Oh, yeah.
600 quid?
Yeah, there's nothing in it. They can't afford paper. What's Baroness Bottomley of Nettlestone had to say this week?
Is that Virginia Bottomley?
Yeah, she wants people in Parliament to work from home less so that young people can teach grumpy older workers how to use social media properly. Ed, you're an older man who uses TikTok a lot. And having seen some of your TikToks, I think you could definitely do with some help in that department.
I don't understand. They just tell me to do it.
I mean, that's pretty apparent when you watch it, Ed. Well, let's have a look at some of your work.
I'm challenging Keir Starmer to play FIFA.
Oh, right.
Which apparently is something like Subbuteo.
Can't you send him a letter?
It's about bringing the boom.
The economic boom?
Mr. Rizzler.
Is that a drug reference?
You just got to give the boom to everybody. It's all about love.
Oh. Fair enough. What else is Keir Starmer reportedly ready to cut?
Can we see some more TikTok?
I would love to. If it was up to me, the whole show would be TikTok. His ties to Rachel Reeves.
What?
Well, yeah.
She's the Chancellor.
Well, she is, but according to John Rentoul in The Independent, Starmer now thinks the decision to cut winter fuel payments was a mistake.
God, he learns quick.
Yeah, like a lot of pensioners, he's got cold feet.
That policy, I don't know, I sort of admire... I don't agree with it, but I admire it, if you know what I mean. Because I think there was a bit of resentment towards those of the older generation who voted for Brexit, which has caused a lot of problems.
Have you got any evidence for that?
But I sort of admire they've gone, well, you caused that for us, and they've held on to that for so long, and they've gone, well, then now you can't be warm. I don't agree with it, but I admire their long game.
So revenge is a dish literally best
So
served cold. What has Angela Rayner defended spending money on this week?
A vanity photographer.
Yes, her taxpayer-funded vanity photographer.
I didn't have one of those when I was a minister.
Did you not?
No.
Well, you've made up for it.
How much is it costing, this vanity photographer?
Do you know, Ed?
I have no idea.
68 grand. Oh.
And this is just to take pictures of Angela Rayner?
Yeah.
Can she not use a selfie?
Well, she could not use a selfie.
Yeah.
I think I may have got the terminology.
It's my first time on the show, and I don't want to overstep, but you are out of your depth here.
Yeah. You're right.
Perhaps, Ian, you might think it more appropriate if she used a daguerreotype.
Now I'm with you.
Do you have any of these photos?
We certainly do. Would you like to see one?
Yes, please.
Here you go. I mean, that's worth every taxpayer penny, isn't it?
Yeah.
You'd never stoop so low as a PR-heavy photo opportunity, would you?
Not... well...
Shall we have a look at one of yours?
Yeah, please.
So, Ed, what are you pretending to watch there? Because the screens are behind you. Also, when you bought a round... what does Kemi Badenoch not have time for?
Lunch.
Yes.
Lunch is for wimps.
It is. Do you have lunch?
No. In fact, I haven't eaten anything since 1968. Don't believe it.
She has steak.
Yeah, she does. She gets steak brought to her at her desk. Yeah, which makes her working class, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't she say something about sandwiches?
She did, yeah. Having bread at lunch is weird. Keir Starmer likes a cheese toastie at lunch. She likes steak, raw, eaten off the floor. It's been a good week for Reform. Who have they attracted into their folds?
Oh, this is Assad. No, they ran some checks on him. Who have they got now?
They've got billionaire Tory donor
Oh, Nick Candy.
Nick Candy.
Oh, yeah.
Of the Candy Brothers.
The Candy Man, yeah.
Formerly resident in Monaco.
Yeah.
Tax-paying patriots down to the line.
Well, that means he's got a lot of money to spare and he wants to give it to reform.
Yes.
He's going to give a 7-figure donation.
Great.
Didn't Suella Braverman's husband also join them?
She was very cross because people then said, "Are you joining?" And she said, "I don't do what my husband says. It's not the 18th century, you know." Which I thought was part of the plan.
No, that's not why we're asking.
No.
It's because of your personality and what you've said.
Right, who's been a bit of a snowflake this week and can't take a joke?
Who can't take a joke?
I'll narrow it down for you. It's a Reform MP.
Lee Anderson.
Yes, yes. Reform MP and missing
Thank
link,
you.
Lee Anderson,
Yes.
who responded to a joke about him on the Have I Got News For You social media feed with this. "When we've sorted border control out, we're coming for you next. That'll save us a few billion a year." Billions? I had to bring my own pen and pot noodle with me today. It was a big week for Lee Anderson on X. I'm going to show you a response he gave to someone this week. I want you to tell me what he was responding to.
Right.
His answer was, "Try the Battle of the Somme."
It's been a bit muddy this week.
Someone said that women have a lot of problems to deal with in lives, including menstruation and the menopause and childbirth.
Yes.
And he said, "Try the
Battle of the Somme.
I don't know if Lee knows this, but he wasn't in the Battle of the Somme.
I don't think anyone's disputing that being at the Battle of the Somme is worse than having your period. Like, no, I don't think anyone's disputing that, even hardline feminists.
Oh, no, to be honest, you didn't have to go to the Battle of the Somme every month.
Yeah.
That would have been worse.
This is the government's call for cuts to departmental spending as they try to deliver on their key targets. Keir Starmer has attacked the civil service for being comfortable in the tepid bath of managed decline. I think I've got that Morrissey album. Cabinet Office Minister Pat McFadden has echoed Dominic Cummings' call for government to work with more misfits and weirdos. Sounds like they're looking for a coalition. Ian and Rachel, here's yours.
Oh, good.
We get the comedy question. Syria,
They look relaxed, don't they?
yeah, happy. Lammy doing his homework. Syria, Middle East.
That's going to take ages, isn't it?
He shouldn't have started on the building behind him. He's wasted time there.
This was possibly good news. I mean, British newspapers all run enormous headlines saying, "What next for Syria?" And tiny type it says, "We don't know." Because no one does know, really. It's incredibly complicated. There's a very good foreign affairs correspondent called Patrick Cockburn, and he says that when other people are being very, very complicated about the foreign affairs of a country, you just listen for a while and then you say, "But it's very different in the south." Everyone is suddenly an expert in this amazing group, the UHT, who've taken over.
The milk production, no.
They're the HTS.
Yes, the victorious HTS group are now in control of Syria, although according to the Financial Times, their leader, Abu Mohammed al-Jalani, has a massive bounty on his head. Surely in the heat that would melt.
It's unfair, because he's a nice moderate now.
Jalani?
Yeah, a few weeks ago he was radical Islamist lunatic, but now he's a Lib Dem, more or less.
Our friend, yeah.
He hasn't joined us yet.
They've won, and no one saw it coming. I mean, no one had any idea this was about to happen. And Assad has gone,
Yeah.
which is quite good news.
Yeah. But it's very different in the south. Also, Jeremy Bowen was reporting for the Today programme on what sounds like a major personal disappointment for him.
Well, at the Syrian border terminal, there was a really fancy duty-free shop, and I'm in it now. The steel shutter has been ripped up. There's massive amount of debris outside. And initially, I thought it was theft, or there may have been a bit of that, but there are a lot of broken bottles of very expensive spirits, whiskey, fancy brandies, and things like that.
Where's he going to get his carton of Lambert and Butler?
Exactly. Hope he doesn't get glass in his knees trying to lick it all up. Where has Assad gone? Who's looking after him?
Putin. Yeah. Say what you will about Putin. He'll do anything for his friends.
Yeah.
Where will Assad and his family live?
Lowestoft.
They're going to live in the 20 or so apartments and houses that they already own in and around Moscow.
Oh.
The area he'll be living in is full of deposed dictators and their families. Slobodan Milosevic's family live there, the deposed president of Kyrgyzstan, Askar Akiev, Aslan Abashidze of Georgia, and the former Ukrainian president, Viktor Yanukovych. I mean, what a soap that would make.
Yeah, yeah.
Life enders.
Yes.
While we're on the subject of dictators,
yes.
What did Kim Jong-un say about the South Korean crisis?
It's a lot different in the south.
He said Yoon Suk-yeol's declaration of martial law was an insane act, akin to a coup d'etat of the military dictatorship era. He brazenly brandished blades and guns of fascist dictatorship at his own people. Who does he think he is? Me? How has this all affected Putin?
I think he's feeling threatened because he's fighting another war.
He's attracted heavy criticism from inside Russia. Russia has been present in Syria since Soviet times, and Putin fucked it all up in 2 weeks. And for what? To take another village in Ukraine, said one Russian journalist whose widow has requested family flowers only. As you know, Ian, Keir Starmer loves the football. So why will he have been particularly excited to be in Saudi Arabia at this time?
This is the World Cup.
Yes.
Because the World Cup's going to be in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, 2034.
Was he trying to get some tickets early? But isn't it very hot?
But they'll play at night.
Oh, they play at night?
Yeah.
That's when the sun goes down.
I was going to ask
I've
you...
done a bit of research on this.
Well, OK, how can anyone see then?
They wear fluorescent shirts.
Ah! You really do know everything.
The Qatari World Cup was criticised for the lack of atmosphere, so maybe they should have got this guy in. This is Rob Walker, who warms up the crowd at the snooker.
Crowd are in good voice. They're pumped. They are ready. Anyone would think we're about to be treated to a disco inferno. You cannot predict anything at the shootout. That's why it's so good to watch. In fact, it makes you feel like you're born to be alive.
That's how we're ending the show.
He's an excellent dancer.
Hey, snooker's a lot more fun than I'd imagine.
Yeah.
I like the fact that the women in there are the only gender maintaining their dignity.
This is the downfall of the Syrian dictatorship, with Bashar al-Assad fleeing to Russia, where he's now living in the dacha next to Greg Wallace. Over the years, Assad has been courted by several world leaders. Cozying up to an evil warmonger with blood on his hands, what was Assad thinking? And so to round two, and lacking any ideas for the last show of the series, and in honour of the Lib Dems, we thought we'd do something cheap, tacky, ill-thought out and slightly embarrassing. It's time for the publicity stunt of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Ian.
I read this because it's really important.
Yeah.
It was the Scrabble tournament in Spain.
Yeah.
And it was won by people who weren't Spanish.
Oh.
In Spanish. I think they were they Australians?
New Zealander.
New Zealanders.
Yes. Here's the champion. He's called Nigel Richards. And he doesn't speak a word of Spanish.
How did he do this, then?
I don't know, he maybe repeatedly used the word "que." According to The Independent, Nigel spent a year memorising the Spanish Scrabble word list. However, he didn't actually pick up any conversational Spanish, so was unable to talk to his competitors. So at least they had something to be grateful for. What are the notable differences between British and Spanish Scrabble, apart from it being called Scrabble?
Scrabble.
That's very, very good.
Thank you. Well, Spanish Scrabble, there are additional letters, but they're just because additional letters of the alphabet.
Cedillas.
You get a CH, a double L, and a double R, and 3 Zs around 2 o'clock when everyone goes for their siesta. Nigel has form in this area. What else has he achieved?
French. He's won the French Scrabble.
Yes, that's the right answer. The French-speaking World Scrabble Championship twice, despite knowing little beyond bonjour. One Scrabble champion from Cameroon told reporters at the time, "Just mentioning his name makes me tingle."
Nigel Richards.
In other linguistic news, what's wrong with a book written by Taylor Swift?
You can open the pages.
A book released to celebrate her Eras tour has been dubbed the Eras Book. And after fans found it was full of typos and even had some of the pages printed upside down. It hasn't been released here yet, but it's been flogged on eBay for more than £200. Oh, yeah, I got a gasp. It's still less to see her in concert, though, isn't it, Ed? If one did have to pay for tickets, that is. Did you get free tickets?
I did.
Yeah. Was it good?
It was fantastic.
Did you get free tickets from her or from a third party?
I got from the Football Association.
Really? Do you think they're trying to influence you on the regulator or anything? I'm just throwing this out.
Yeah. Well, I fully declare that, as you know.
Yeah. It's no good just declaring it. Not doing it's good.
Lastly, how's a spelling error at Morrison's in Wales caused upset this week?
They like their double L's, don't they, in the Welsh language, and double D's in the Welsh language. So I don't know.
Their Aberystwyth store was battered by high winds recently, which knocked some of the letters off the Morrison's sign. Here it is.
It's a shame, isn't it?
This is the New Zealander Nigel Richards, who won the Spanish Scrabble Championships without being able to speak a word of Spanish. Of course, the New Zealand national Scrabble team are also known as the All Blanks. Nigel Richards is considered to be the greatest Scrabble player of all time. He's now taking some well-earned time off to ruin Christmas for his family. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
This is Trump in Paris, the reopening of the Notre Dame Cathedral after the terrible fire there several years ago. Him and Macron shared a very strange handshake. Whenever they meet, Trump's always trying to do a power handshake with him, and Macron's well prepared, so they were sort of like kind of grappling sort of somewhere around like this. Very strange.
This is how it went.
You dancing?
Trying to keep him away from his wife.
They did have another go at it later. Here's how that went.
The bloke on the left in the funny act's going, here we go again.
He was very complimentary, Trump, to Macron about the restoration of Notre Dame. He told him, you have no idea how good a job you did on that chapel. That's very hard to do.
All right, the master builder.
Yeah. Also, Macron's the president, Donald. He's not a bricklayer. At the time of the fire, though, Trump made some comments on Twitter.
What did he say? Burn, baby, burn.
No, he actually tweeted some very helpful advice.
Oh, did he? Sorry.
Yeah. He said, perhaps flying water tankers could be used to put it out. Must act quickly. It's all the idea of the French firemen going, oh, yes! Allez, vite! What did the French have to show off at the new Notre Dame?
They put the spire back up, they've got an organ.
They've got a new organ, yes, which has been restored and rededicated to the cathedral with a piece of music that was entirely improvised by the organist based on the emotion of the moment, which sounds wonderful. Let's hear how that sounded. Notre Dame also has a new altar, which looks like a large, well, half a large wheel of cheese. Oh. Notre Dame.
They've got new bells as well.
Have they?
Baby bells.
Prince William was also there. What did Trump have to say about him?
Said he's a good man.
Yeah.
Which is the last thing you want to hear from Donald Trump.
I know.
From Donald Trump, that's a kick in the teeth. If David Attenborough tells you you're a good man, you're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You hear it from Donald Trump, you're like, oh, God, I've got to rethink my life.
Exactly. Trump told the New York Post about the Prince of Wales. He looked really very handsome last night. Some people look better in person. He looked great. He looked really nice, and I told him that. Get a room. William should be honoured, because Trump's not always that complimentary about people. Here's what he once tweeted about Democrat Barney Frank. Barney Frank looked disgusting, nipples protruding in his blue shirt before Congress. Very, very disrespectful. I mean, it's one thing about our royals, they know how to control their nipples. Where did William get not such a flattering compliment this week?
Is it a new statue?
Nope.
No. An oil painting?
Yeah, it's a drawing. It's a drawing, yeah. A 10-year-old boy handed him a drawing he'd done of the prince.
right, yeah.
Here's William's reaction. And here's why.
To be fair, he is pulling the same expression as in the drawing.
Yeah. This is the reopening of Notre Dame after the fire 5 years ago. According to The Telegraph, during the ceremony in Notre Dame, President-elect Trump met Prince William and shared some fond memories about the late Queen, to which William replied, "That's very kind, but in Britain we don't call them Hooters." Time now for the odd one out round. Paul and Ed, your four are Billy Bremner, Wilfred Pickles,
Yes.
Jim Davidson and Ed Davey.
Right, so, OK, Billy Bremner, he played for Leeds United in the 60s and 70s. Wilfred Pickles, on the top right, was a radio personality and he was a Yorkshireman, I think. Jim Davidson, yes. Is it something, anything to do with pantomime at all?
Yes, it is.
Right, OK. So I know that Billy Bremner and the Leeds United team once put on a pantomime somewhere and he played the part of Buttons, I think. Jim Davidson certainly played Buttons. He did a sort of adult pantomime called Cinderella, S-I-N-Derella. Wilfred Pickles, I'm assuming, hey up, it's nice again. He would be played Buttons as well, so Ed Davey's the only one because he uses a zip. So he's the odd one out.
Is the right answer.
I have actually done pantomime.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about that. We know. Yeah.
St Paul's Players, Chessington.
They've all played Buttons in a pantomime, apart from you, who played...
I played many parts.
Oh, all right. You made a guest appearance in an Amdram version of Snow White,
I did
didn't you?
indeed.
And you were a dwarf called...
Tipsy, probably.
Lucky. Here you are. We've got a picture of you.
Oh, you're joking.
Yeah, you're on the far right, for a change.
How did you get that?
Oh, I don't know. Which other politician was spotted at a panto over the weekend?
Someone went to the panto.
Yeah.
Did they pay?
This man could afford it, our ex-Prime Minister.
Rishi Sunak.
Rishi, yeah.
Oh, Rishi.
Rishi. According to The Times, he slipped in at the back to watch his local panto in Richmond, Yorkshire.
Oh.
Unfortunately for him, Dame Wilhelmina Whippy spotted the former Prime Minister and lobbed Tunnock's tea cakes at him. As is tradition. As of this year. Jim Davidson played Buttons in his own pantomime, as you said.
Cinderella with an S.
Cinderella in 1994.
Yep.
What changes did he make to the traditional Cinderella story?
Well, there was a character called Baron Hardon instead of Baron Hardup.
Yeah.
This really is your specialist.
Well, the performance featured a flatulent fairy godmother who, in one scene, left stage mid-fart using a jetpack. Don't get any ideas, Ed. It also... broadcaster Wilfred Pickles played Buttons in Bradford in 1947. And he's most famous for, as you said, he was the first newsreader to speak in an accent other than received pronunciation.
Hey up, there's a war on.
Yeah. Well, it was quite controversial at the time. The BBC got quite aerated about it in 1943. Let's listen to a BBC report about the controversy of People's Act.
Oh, this good bit of archive.
Here's a recording of what he did. This is the BBC Home and Forces programme. News News, this is Wilfred Pickles reading it. There's still no change in the fighting in Libya. Our aircraft have kept up the raids on Axis bases across the Mediterranean, on the African bases as well.
I suppose that is very difficult for anyone but a northerner to follow easily.
How did Leeds United's hard nut Billy Bremner get roped into playing buttons?
Oh, this was probably a thing. The manager at the time in the 90s, Don Revie, was very sort of. He was, you know, team unity, get them all doing stuff together. Carpet bowls was one of his things. So there was probably a sort of like get together for a children's charity or the sort of the Christmas social party for the Leeds United team. Put on a panto.
Yeah, I mean, crikey. The whole Leeds team appeared in Panto in 1974 with Captain Billy Bremner starring as Buttons, leading the audience in a traditional Boxing Day sing-along of Someday My Prince Will Come and You're Going to Get Your Fucking Head Kicked In. They've all played Buttons in a pantomime, apart from Ed Davey, who played a lucky dwarf. If any of the major parties want to know where Ed is polling, he's behind you. Ian and Rachel, your four are Cliff Richard, King Charles III, Donald Trump, and Heston Blumenthal.
Is it singing?
It's to do with Christmas.
Could we have a clue that includes the answer?
The answer is they have all released something unusual for Christmas, apart from Cliff Richard, who's revealed an unusual Christmas recipe. What does Cliff Richard produce at Christmas that upsets people? Do you have any idea?
A calendar?
No. Oh, gosh, no. Do you know what it is? It's gravy.
Gravy?
Gravy, yeah.
It's gravy.
What does Cliff Richard put in his gravy at Christmas?
Like meat juice?
Yeah, meat juice.
No.
Meat juice, meat juice.
He hasn't... Stop shouting meat juice at
Well,
me.
that's a better term than for gravy, isn't it?
Right, according to the Telegraph, Cliff mixes 8 stock cubes of different flavours, chicken, lamb, beef and vegetable, with an undisclosed amount of teriyaki sauce, sweet soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce to create a gravy that he describes as custard thick. And if you want to recreate Cliff's gravy at Christmas, why? Heston Blumenthal, he's charging an eye-watering £45 for a mail-order pudding. What is special about Heston's pudding?
It's made out of something bizarre, like bleach and organic trousers.
Yes.
Well, inside Heston's pudding...
Snails.
Sixpence.
A concealed mandarin.
What, like a Chinese emperor?
Or the cabinet secretary. What does King Charles release for Christmas?
Biscuits.
No.
Oh, mince pies.
No. Well,
Non-fungible tokens.
there might be a... he's selling boxes of Royal Christmas crackers.
Oh.
For 65 quid for a box of 6.
65 quid?
Yeah, what do you think you get for 65 quid? What's in them?
Kent.
What else have they issued for Christmas, the King and Queen?
A royal proclamation.
Saying...
Hello.
Good evening.
That's Roger Moore. No, their Christmas card. Here it is.
Yeah.
Well, when was that taken? That's not Christmas time, is it?
No, that's summertime, that is.
No. How's it gone down, that?
Very well.
Yeah? Well, according to the Northern Echo, one man from the northeast was not impressed. He said it's not very Christmassy. He could have put a Santa hat on or something. Just looks like they're at a mate's wedding. And finally, Donald Trump.
Fragrance, isn't
A
it?
fragrance. He's released a fragrance at $199 a bottle. Do you know what it's called?
Is it the smell of corruption?
Is it called Gullible? For men.
It's called Fight, Fight, Fight. Why might Trump have decided to release a perfume?
So he thought that perhaps he wasn't going to win and that this would be, it would, you know, start the commercial ball rolling on various other enterprises.
What, it's insurrection by fragrance?
Yes.
That would have been a
like
good
that.
name, wouldn't it? Insurrection.
Yeah, that would be good.
That'd be much better.
Much better.
Yeah.
Sausage.
Did you say sausage in a French accent?
Yeah. What about it?
Yeah, it's good.
Meat juice.
That's not going to sell any.
That's the tagline, isn't it?
Oh, I bet that's what it smells of.
Well,
God,
apparently...
I bet it smells of meat juice and gun smoke and possums.
Many people close to Trump claim that he stinks. Various reports suggest that Trump is a nasal nightmare with the aroma of armpits, soiled diapers, makeup, ketchup and hot dog burps, which are also more ingredients for Cliff's gravy. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Pantomime magazine. And we start with scientists exploring whether mistletoe could be used as what?
A nuclear deterrent? Minister for the Environment?
It's contraceptive, isn't it? We've covered every option available.
Yeah, I'll give you the answer. Scientists exploring whether mistletoe could be used as a form of surgical glue.
Oh.
In fact, as far back as 50 BC, Roman author Pliny claimed mistletoe was used to trap birds. Easy, Pliny, mate, you can't say that anymore. Next, China shocks world by making frog what?
Sexually attractive to humans.
Is it into gravy?
China shocks world by making frog popular new pizza topping. But don't worry, once it's been put on the pizza and popped in the oven, you wouldn't know it was frog. Look at the thighs. He didn't miss leg day, did he?
Never mind, look at the thighs. Look at his eyeballs.
Finally, holidaymakers disappointed by trip to Lapland because what and what?
Holidaymakers disappointed by trip to Lapland because there was no snow, no sun, and the gnomes were drunk.
It's almost the right answer.
And the elves were drunk. Can't be.
Holidaymakers disappointed by trip to Lapland because there was no snow. Santa said, I don't even live here. And they were introduced to an angry reindeer. Families paid as much as $4 grand for the 3-day trip to Finland.
Oh, my God.
According to one unhappy customer in The Sun, Santa said, I don't even live here, this is my holiday home. Well, I hope you're paying stamp duty on it then, you jolly red-suited bastard. So, the final scores. Ian and Rachel have 4, but this week's winner are Paul and Ed with 7. And before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Give me my winter fuel payment back or the kitten gets it.
When I said grab you by the pussy, no. Here's a bonus one for both of you.
This is the second disc I've slipped this week.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Rachel Parris, Paul Merton and Ed Davey MP, and I leave you with news that in Norfolk, one woman has been so traumatised by the events of the last 2 years that she believes she has an invisible ventriloquist doll called Mr. Corky. In a Swindon quick fit, there's a terrible mix-up when a customer asks for new tyres to be put on their old Panda. And there's scandal in Westminster as a leading politician is caught washing his crutch in front of a woman. Good night.